Hello again, everyone. This is Vontos with episode 16 of my Age of Empires 3 co-op series with Bob of Black Arrow Gaming, whose channel I have linked to in the description. In this episode, we weren't able to play for very long because we got a pretty late start. We end up only getting through one turn, but a lot happens in this one turn. There's several big battles that go pretty well for us, I think. And as soon as we get the first turn started, I am going to be fighting one of those big battles. Teal's sneaking in some Shrines of Smiting and other units towards my main cities. I surrounded them with as many units as I could, and now I'm going to have a very likely victory. And an 18 on, I think, 9. Yeah, 18 on 9 battle. Unfortunately, since I did surround the enemy units, mine are kind of spread out right now. It's going to give them a chance to pick off one of my armies while the other ones catch up. And I am going to fly these Exalteds in as quickly as possible to help them catch up. Not going to do anything good back in the corner there anyway. The enemy did cast Power of the Word, which has a chance to immobilize all of your units. You see my priests down here and my shock trooper did get immobilized by that. It means they can't move. They can use spells and stuff, but they can't get any closer to where the fighting's happening. I can try to dispel it. I don't have a lot of success with dispelling in this battle, unfortunately. That one did succeed. I was a little lucky that this army up here did not get immobilized by Power of the Word. Gives me a chance to run my priest away and give it some healing. Run my evangelist away, heal it a little bit. Gonna get the rest of my units up before I decide what to do with my final wounded army. Gonna put my units in front of the priest, give it a little bit of protection, heal it up as much as possible, heal my wounded evangelist as much as possible. And then I think I'm just going to let them move closer before I attack. Could have run my shock trooper up and gotten up in the face of one of those shrines, but then that shock trooper would have gotten surrounded by all the units, possibly gotten killed. Use Power of the Word again. It immobilized a couple more of my units, but at this point they're all pretty close to the fighting, so it's not as big a deal. The shrines did gang up and kill my evangelist that got hit on the last turn. That was unfortunate, but the way my units started this battle out, there wasn't anything I could do to protect him. I do just want to get those guys up, get in the face of as many units as possible. They cannot be permanently killed since they have resurgence. Right there, I did get a couple dispels to work. Able to move one of my priests up. The warg's not going to cause me any problems, but it is in my way. I do need to kill it before I can go take care of the Shrines of Smiting, just because it's going to get a lot of flank hits on me if I don't. It's unfortunate that I have to waste my priest's movement, but it's what I have to do. And there I dispelled the immobilized shock trooper, and I'm able to run him up. Also going to run this evangelist up. Just put him on guard. And run the shock trooper up and hit that shrine. The AI does not use shrines very well, I have noticed. When there's a unit up in their face, they will just ram that unit rather than run away with their ranged attack. Even if the ram does a lot less damage. I'm going to try to use Disintegrate. 50% on a tier 4 unit seems really high. I don't know if Storm Magic is affecting that, but it seems like it might be. Unfortunately does fail. You can see that one shrine just bashed my evangelist rather than run away. The AI tends to do that with shrines, and even with juggernauts more often than they should. And now all that's left for the enemy are his 3 shrines of smiting, so I just want to get up close as possible. They cannot use their Divine Vengeance ability against me. It's usually their kind of last resort when they're surrounded by enemy units. Since all of my units are devout, Divine Vengeance does not affect them. So there's really no reason for me not to go get up as close to these shrines as I possibly can. Evangelist does a lot of spirit damage. Since these shrines are immune to spirit, I can't do anything. I'm just going to go get in the face of the 3rd shrine. Hopefully he will try to ram me instead of using something more effective. Don't have much healing I can do on this turn since I've already used my healing. I have to wait another turn before I can use that. Otherwise I would be healing my wounded excuse me, my wounded shock trooper there. And all 3 shrines are going to ram. I don't know that it would have mattered. They probably, if they had all pulled away and all used their ranged attack on one of my units, they might have been able to kill it. But that's about the best case for them, to take out one thing. Now I am going to use my healing. I think I only lose 1 unit in this battle, that evangelist that I lost on the very second turn. Not really necessary for me to move all these forward. I will use Dispel just to get a little experience. Not going to make a difference in the battle. That shrine is just going to ram. And then I'm going to surround it and kill it. Looking for a unit that's close to getting a promotion. soon as this battle's over, I'm going to need to move these units quickly, because I have a lot of areas I need to defend. Only that one evangelist died, you can see there. Gonna join all 5 of my exalteds in one army, try to get down and save Illinois. I am not going to get there fast enough. I lose my Goblin City underground too. Something I'm going to need to run back and recapture. Fortunately, interrupting my reinforcement efforts is this independent army underground. Like so many battles lately, this is one I probably could have used auto combat on, but just didn't feel real confident since there's that tier 3 Deathbringer in the enemy army. Deathbringer's going to be a jerk and flank one of my units, but that's really all that they can do to me here. Now I gotta hurry, get back to trying to move my units around. I do want to get as many close to Nipuk over here as I can. That is still my most vulnerable city. I can't get them all the way back, but I can get them close enough to at least threaten any enemy units that come nearby. Doesn't look like there's anything about to attack my throne, which is good. I would have had to spend units going that way. My ferry that was scouting got caught by a Shrine of Smiting. I'm going to put Domain of Corruption on this city just to help my morale for my units there. And there you can see Brown with a bunch of tier 4 units is attacking Angrenost, where fortunately Bob and I have a lot of defenders. Brown went straight for the city rather than attacking one of our units on the outside, which is going to let us pull all of our troops into the city defense battle. If he had attacked one of our units sitting around the edge, it might have ended up only pulling in 3 of our armies, so this was pretty good news for us. With those 3 Lords of the Deep, Brown is definitely going to use Thunderstorm here, which is not going to hurt us all that much, since Bob does have 1 or 2 Storm Sisters in the battle. Thunderstorm will just increase the damage they do and increase the odds that they will inflict stun. I think he might also have Arcane Arrows on his archers, which would also do extra damage in a thunderstorm. The overall plan here, since Bob's mostly ranged units, is for him to get up on the wall and shoot while I defend with my Crusaders and my Shock Troopers. I have a couple Exalteds in the battle that I'm going to fly out over the wall to try to distract some of the enemy units. They end up doing a really good job of that. I also have a Crypt of Unlife on this city that will bring back to life one unit that died each round of the battle. I do not get to keep those units, so if the Manticore Rider or Lord of the Deep had been brought back as a ghoul unit, it would have died at the end of the battle, but still it would have been nice to be able to use while the battle was ongoing. Unfortunately, Brown uses their casting points to disjunct Crypt of Unlife. It ends up not getting used at all. On the other hand, that means Brown wasn't able to cast any strong spells on their units, since they had to waste them disjuncting my Crypt of Unlife. Along with all his ranged units, Bob does also have a hero and a couple shock troopers, which are going to help out a lot. There, I'm going to send my Exalted over the wall. I'm going to use my Martyr to use Absorb Pain on my hero. Since that hero does not have Resurgence, I need to absorb pain just to try to help keep him alive. Don't really have any good spells. Repair Fortification might come into play. Force Field maybe later in the battle, but Flashbang is almost completely worthless here, since most of the enemy units are melee and not ranged. I also have this Hellhound here. It's pretty useless to me. I'm just going to use it to get in the way. Maybe absorb a hit or two. Other than that, just get all my Shock Troopers and Crusaders up. Get my priests up on the wall. Try to throw a curse. Yetis are not that great at lower levels, so I'm going to have to keep them safe until I get them a few more promotions. And my other Exalted, I'm going to fly back behind the lines. Use it to fly up and get a flank attack hit if I need to. There you can see they failed at disjuncting Crypt of Unlife the first time and did use Thunderstorm. You also notice rather than run straight forward, they're kind of coming at an angle. They might be going towards the center of the wall, or they might be going after my Exalted. I think they're going after the Exalted. Either way, that's pretty good for us that they're not going straight at the wall. Gives us a chance to set up our units in a little bit better position. Bob was trying to take out the enemy Storm Sister as quickly as we could. Since it is at gold medal, it could inflict stun on us. And since it is pretty weak in terms of hit points and defense, it's a good first target to go after. may have noticed when I was looking at that Manticore Rider's stats, it is a heretic. I was able to get Mark of the Heretic on these armies, which lets my devout units get some bonus damage against them. I believe all my units in the battle, except maybe my hero, are devout. And my Yeti's probably not devout. Other than that, all my units are doing bonus damage against all of these enemy units right now. Those Lords of the Deep all have projectile reflection. I think that's just something they come with. It's not something they even get with a promotion. Since they've got a lot of melee protection type advantages as well, that projectile reflection is going to make them a pain to deal with. See, they also get static shield, they get pole arm, first strike, all that stuff that makes them hard to hit with melee attacks. And sticking a Crusader right up behind Bob's Storm Sister should leave it completely protected for the entire battle. And my priests are close enough now that I can start throwing curses. Neither of them succeed, but I do slow those two units in the back down. That Martyr will also become an Exalted at gold medal rank. I think he's bronze medal now, so I do want to keep him protected in addition to having him use Absorb Pain. They succeeded in disjuncting Crypt of Unlife there. And there you can see units are going after my Exalted. That's just going to give us extra time to shoot at them from the wall. It really is a good strategy against the AI. Fly a unit out over the wall if possible. If you need to, you can fly it back over the wall for safety. Since this is an Exalted with Resurgence, I don't need to do that. I can just fly him around the entire battle until he dies if I need to. was able to inflict despair and curse that Manticore Rider. It's going to make it a lot easier to kill, especially with our elemental type attacks. At this point, the Manticore Rider is our top priority, since it's the only one of these enemy units that can fly. The only ranged units that they have are pretty weak. Lords of the Deep would have to run up to the gates and bash on them for a few turns before they could get through and hurt us. There, Bob was able to stun the Warbreed. Warbreed is the only unit they have other than the Manticore Rider that can get at us without beating down a gate. The Warbreed could beat down any section of the wall. Probably wouldn't have mattered because we do have so many more ranged units than they have units that can hurt us. But it is nice to slow them down. Gives us the chance to take them out one at a time. Checking out the movement of the enemies there. The Manticore Rider is the only one that can get my Exalted if I move it up in this corner, so I'm just going to keep running it away. I do see that Griffin Rider that the enemies have. I did not notice that, so they do have 2 units that can come over the wall and hurt us. Still, the Manticore Rider is much more dangerous with its inflict stun ability and its just overall higher strength. I'm going to try to use Throw Ice Ball on this guy. Take the small chance of freezing it. Any other attack I would use would only do a small amount of damage anyway. I think doing 3 damage with a chance to freeze a strong unit like that is better than doing 9 damage. The freeze fails, unsurprisingly. Just gonna shoot it with everything I have. Just try to kill it as quickly as possible. You see, Bob and I kind of mounted our defense with all our melee units behind the wrong group of ranged units. The enemy's going after this other group here, so we are going to have to move our units over to help protect them. Bob did that on his turn, and now I am doing it here. Couldn't hit anything with that priest, so I continue to use Throw Curse. This time the curse succeeded. So now that Warbreed is even less of a threat. And there the Manticore Rider and Griffin Rider flew over, killed one of Bob's units. I'm not sure if Bob's able to get it resurrected in time before the battle ends. So now there's a couple strong units behind our lines, but it's only 2. We've got a lot of units. We can get a ton of flank attacks and take them out. 2 of those Lords of the Deep and their phalanx went up after my Exalted, flying out in the corner there. Bob's here is a rogue with Backstab and Assassin's Strike, so it's going to do a huge amount of damage here. 45 damage with no chance of retaliation. It's a really, really good attack. It's going to give him a chance to take out the Manticore Rider. Griffin Rider's just about dead, and now it is dead. I will be able to easily take out the mounted archer up on the northern part of the battlefield on my turn. So the only way the enemy's going to be able to hurt us now is by reflecting damage back to us with their Lords of the Deep. This battle is pretty much over. There's very little chance of us losing any units at this point. Even with a fumble, I'm able to take that guy out. Just gonna run my Yeti outside the wall to go after that Warbreed. It would win a one-on-one fight with those priests behind it to support it. Wasn't really thinking there. I shot the Lord of the Deep, which turned it around and kept me from getting a flank attack. I guess they have total awareness, so I can't get flank attacks on them anyway. But still, I flew the Exalted over to attack it. Since the Exalted has Resurgence, I want to use those to attack these Lords of the Deep as much as possible. Even though they are pikemen, they do extra damage to my flying unit. I know I can't lose them. Plus, with the Inflict Dazzled effect that Exalteds have, I am eventually able to dazzle one of the Lords of the Deep. which prevents them from using any of their actions. At this point, there's not really any threats to us. The only thing we need to pay attention to is not attacking those Lords of the Deep with damaged units, end up killing ourselves on their projectile reflection or their static shield. And again, if you want to see this battle from Bob's perspective, here's some of his commentary. Hear us discussing our plans in real time. Go check it out on his channel. We are running quite a few units outside the walls to go deal with those Lords of the Deep. I don't know if that was the best decision to make. We don't end up losing anything outside the walls, but it gets kind of close on a couple of our shock troopers. It might have been better to sit behind the walls and keep shooting them even with their projectile reflection. I think shooting them, at least weakening them up more, might have been the better way to go. I believe I dazzled that Lord of the Deep there, so it's not able to attack anymore. Fortunately, I fumbled that. Otherwise, it probably could have killed that phalanx. That's probably another reason that we almost lost units. We did have a couple key fumbles. Made it take a little bit longer to kill stuff. I also have that city defense effect, which is doing damage to those Lords of the Deep. Could have let that do a bit more damage before we started attacking them too. Going to make a very, very minor mistake on my turn coming up. Not factoring in that those Lords of the Deep have total awareness and have first strike. I'm gonna run my Hellhound in and attack it. Try to get a flank attack on it, but of course flank attacks are impossible against a total awareness unit. Killing my Hellhound. It's the only unit I lose in the battle. Not a big deal. The Hellhound's probably the upkeep I'm paying on it's probably hurting me more than losing the unit hurts me. But still, had it been any other unit, it'd have been a pretty bad mistake. Since that guy's dazzled, he can't hit me back, but his static shield does stun me. Very annoying. Gonna try again to freeze someone, does not work. Guess I didn't attack with the Hellhound, I just left him up there and he runs up and kills it. Must be what happens. No, he is still dazzled. He can't run up and attack my Hellhound. I don't know exactly what happens, but somehow he kills my Hellhound eventually. Could have killed him with a musket shot, but I wanted to give the kill to my martyr so I could help level it up a little bit. So I'm trying to find a unit that could attack that guy and do damage. And there you see, I decided to attack with my Hellhound, which just got my Hellhound killed. But because of that, I am able to get a promotion to my martyr, so I guess it worked out. That was a good chunk of Brown's invading army. It's nice to take that out. I only lost the one unit. I didn't see whether Bob resurrected his longbowman or not, but at most Bob only lost one longbowman. Really a great battle for us. There's the Cape of Rot that Bob gave me. My other torso item might be better than the cape. I might switch back and forth between the two actually on that hero. One of my torso items gives him fire protection and resurgence. The Cape of Rot gives him free movement. Also gives him a Path of Decay, which turns every tile he walks over into Blight. Since I'm turning the map into Blight anyway, that will help. Plus, that guy has a jewel item that gives him Blight Concealment, so that combined with Path of Decay will basically make him invisible everywhere he goes. There's Teal trying to sneak some more shrines in. There's still a couple turns away from my second city there, so I will have time to react to them. Next time we get on in play, I'll have to develop a plan for that. Brown left a Griffin Rider sitting out on the water that I can go kill. This Griffin Rider does have Lucky, which is bad news for me. Means I'm not going to kill him because of that right there. Which means he's going to be able to go kill one of my ships. I notice watching this that the sound and the video aren't quite matched up. I don't know if it's going to be that way in the final product. If so, I apologize for that. I don't know what the problem is. Just Brown sending a bunch of units underground. I don't have any line of sight down there. I don't know where they're going to go. I have a feeling they're going to go take my cities to the north and then pop up right next to my throne city and cause me a lot of problems. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Either way, it'll be a few turns before anything bad happens there. I'm going to keep moving these guys forward, try to do the Dragon Quest. All I have to do is kill some giants for the dragons, and they'll give me a couple wyverns. I haven't decided yet how I'm going to use the wyverns. I might use them to just keep scouting along the rivers and along the lava underground. Brown reinforced Illinois. He's got 3 Manticore Riders in there now. I thought it was only going to be 2. I think my 5 Exalteds could have taken out 2 Manticore Riders, but 3 is too many. I'm going to have to hold them back and take Illinois back with a bigger army. Assuming, of course, that Brown leaves all 3 Manticore Riders in the city. If he pulls one of them out, it might give me an opportunity to move in and attack. Anthoria does not have much of a defending army right now. A good chunk of Brown's army got killed attacking Engernost, and another chunk went underground. So now he's got a bit of a weakness at Anthoria. I'm going to send some of my units up there to try to recapture it quickly. That city there is about to revolt. You see, I've put my priest on the water. First of all, I'm going to get sanctified sites to help with some of my city unhappiness I'm having. But my priest is on the water there. It's right next to the city. If that teal unit attacks the city, my priest will get pulled into the battle. Otherwise, next turn, I will be able to just sail on the water after that other unit and kill it, restoring that city's happiness quite a bit. So I'm going to send 12 units up after Anthoria, leaving back my hero and a few pretty good units to help defend Engernost along with Bob's army. They should do fine down there. And I think I will be able to take Anthoria back at the beginning of the next turn. Hopefully I'll get it before Brown takes control of the city. That way I won't have to deal with spending a few turns getting control of the city back myself. Not sure what city those shrines are going after. Either way, as long as it's just 4 shrines of smiting, I should be able to deal with them. Here we are playing for about an hour and we still have not moved this underground army. I'm gonna go take that orange city there and then pop up through the cave entrance. Orange does have some units in the way, but it's nothing threatening. Just a few small machine armies. Bob is going to take them out on his own. You can see that on his channel. I stopped at the castle of the Lich King on the way, peeked inside. I might have been able to do that. Probably could have won that. Might have gotten a pretty good reward from it actually. But with those 2 Dread Reapers, I just don't want to risk it. If they get really lucky with their Invoke Death ability, they could kill my entire army. I'm eventually going to move my army up to the north to go take out that inn and go that direction towards Orange's city. It's not really at all out of the way. It gets me a tiny bit of experience. And I had a chance to peek inside the inn to see if there's anything worth buying. Unless there's better units hiding in the fog of war, Orange doesn't have anything great defending that city. We should be able to take it with no problem. Those units on the lava are no problem either, it's just a couple. So at the beginning of the next turn, Bob and I are each going to have a couple battles we need to fight. Bob going after this underground city with me, and me going after Anthoria. this army that's selected right there up at that crossroads by the bridge, I'm not sure where I'm going to send that one yet. I might need it to send it back to my second work city. Might need to send it to Nipuk. I might need to send it with the Exalteds to go recapture Illinois. Where they're standing right now at the crossroads is a good spot for them to be. They ran out of movement points there. That's just a lucky coincidence, I guess. It's just going to depend on how easily I take Anthoria. It's going to depend on where those Shrines of Smiting move. I have a lot of options for all these armies. And I have no idea yet what the best option is going to be. It'd be nice if everybody would just pull all their units back to their land and let me get everything reinforced. Somehow don't think that's going to happen though. Notice my gold income's getting really low. It's down to only 62. It's actually lower than that before I lost my galleon in that one fight. And you may have noticed when I had Engranas selected, I am building a Shrine of Smiting that's going to be finished next turn. It's going to hurt my income, but it's going to be a great addition to the defense of Engranas. Right now I'm waiting for Bob to move so I can get on this item pile and pick up some of the stuff that the Lich Queen dropped in episode 15. I think Bob took a couple items that he wanted, and I'm going to take most of the rest. Some pretty nice ones left for me. This guy does need a mount, so I'm gonna gonna send him to my Theocrat, who also needs a mount. Frost Breath is nice, but I'm not sure how often I'm going to use that with any of these guys. Probably should have just let Bob take that. That torso item has a lot of really nice effects, but it does give slowed, which makes a unit move slower, obviously. Also prevents them from using attacks of retaliation. I'm going to give that torso item to my sorcerer, who I'm mainly using to cast spells and stay out of the battle anyway. So I don't really want him using attacks of retaliation either way. Those last three items I'll let Bob have. Since I got a better jewel item for my hero, I'm just going to get rid of the dazzling necklace. Alright, and item upkeep is finished. Now onto the map. Brown has cut my area down by quite a bit. It's a problem, but it's a problem I think I can deal with quickly. Going to move in, probably take Anthoria out at the beginning of the next turn. Then depending on what kind of units Brown has in the area. I'll probably send all or most of the army that takes Anthoria north to go help get Illinois back. And that's basically going to be my game plan for a few turns at least. Kind of lose cities and then run back in and take them as soon as I get the opportunity. Most of Bob's units are underground. He and I are going to take Ferak and then pop above ground, hopefully go straight after Orange's throne, and if they're leaders in their throne city, knock them out of the game. My other army over there near the Dragon City, I'm going to do that quest for them, and then I'm going to go back and recapture that Goblin City that I lost near the beginning of the episode. At that point, I have no idea what I'm going to do with this army. It's not really strong enough to go into Teal's land and capture anything. Maybe I will use it, just kind of leave it hanging around, help Bob defend, just in case the Brown army, which popped through the cave entrance that's circled there, in case that goes after Bob, he will need some help defending, because most of his army will be above ground at that point. Otherwise, maybe that army, I will send it up north to recapture my cities, assuming Brown goes up and takes those. That's it for episode 16. It was only one turn long, but a lot happened in that one turn. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you have not, and check out the first 15 episodes if you haven't seen those yet. And be sure to go to Bob's channel and watch his perspective, see his battles, which I think he only had 1 or 2 battles that I wasn't involved in this time. But you'll be able to hear his commentary and hear us discussing our plans for that one big co-op battle we had. Thank you again, and I will see you next week.